Hi, I'm Kevin Brewer. I'm President and CEO of CMC Metals Limited. But today I'm here volunteering at the 5th Discoveries Mining Conference by Mexico Mining Center in Guadalajara. And I'm here today with Thom Calandra.
Great to be here, Kevin.
Nice to have you, Tom. You're an interesting guy. You're an investor. You're a newsletter writer. You've done a ton of different things. You've looked at so many mining projects. And frankly, I am struck by you. I'd like to know a little bit more about you. Tell us more about Tom.
Oh, well, Kevin, let me just say thank you for having me here.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mexico Discoveries, and Doug Coleman, and Adelina, his beautiful wife, and being here at this conference. This is my first business trip since PDAC in Toronto in March, where I had to fly in a plane. So it's quite good, and I'm quite impressed with the facilities here at the Expo. Kevin, you know, I'm Thom Calandra. I started Market Watch with a few other folks, and worked out great. It was an editorial service, financial news service. It's still the largest internet financial news service in the world. It was when we started it in 1996. We sold it in 2004 to Dow Jones. It's now Dow Jones Market Watch. It used to be CBS Market Watch, Financial Times Market Watch, and I do the Calandra report still, and you know, I enjoy that. I see a lot of mining sites here in Mexico, Africa, Canada, Nevada. I live in California, and in Tiburon, which of course is Spanish for shark, because we used to have sharks in the bay there in San Francisco, or right outside San Francisco. So shoot. And you know, tell me what you want to know about TomCalandra.com and the Calandra Report, or whatever you want, Kevin.
So you've been to lots of sites. Tell me one of your favorite sites and a little story about it, maybe.
Oh, well, let me see if I can. Let me see if I can dig out a. Look, I've had tremendous tours with a tremendous number of companies. Joey Wilkins. Aztec Minerals at Tombstone in Arizona, Riverside Resources. They only have about 8 projects up there in Sonora. Sonora Gold, also in Sonora. Veracruz, that was an interesting one. I was looking at a company in Veracruz. The company no longer exists, but they were going through a little challenge there because I think one of the cartels had lopped off decapitated the head of the mayor. This was headlines quite a few years ago, 7, 8 years ago. But you know, it was an interesting site. And you know, Kevin, at these sites, whether it's in the DRC Congo or South Africa or Nevada or British Columbia or the Yukon, right? All these places around the world. Cambodia, Siberia, right? Siberia, by the way, that one, tremendous. Was with a company called EMX Royalty, and they sold the huge copper project back to Russia that they had developed. Well, the Russians, we were right across the border from China, up there near, you know, in that area where it's cold, you know. And the Russians are so friendly. And I love the fact that you can walk into any supermarket and get like 8 different types of beer on tap and take it home. You know, that was tremendous. But of course, the most amazing thing is, and I'm sure we see this happen with tequila here in Mexico, is you go to lunch or dinner with any Russian, their sense of humor is tremendous. And also the vodka that they drink is right there. They're drinking it like wine from a carafe with lunch and dinner, and who knows, maybe breakfast. I didn't go that far.
Yeah, if you could remember the conversation, you'd be happy. So, tell us, you know, and by the way, I'd love to have you maybe up in Yukon sometime, and I promise not to lop off your head. So anyway, we all love to be great investors, obviously. We all like to make money, and you're an investor as well, as well as writing Calandra Report and doing our things. So Tell me, what are the top 3 to 5 things you look for in a company when you make an investment decision?
Kevin, if you had asked me this 10 or 20 years ago, or 30 when I was a little wet behind the ears, I'd give you a clean, positive answer. But my first one now, after having been burned so many times by so many different people and making every mistake there is to make in the book, is do your homework on the people. I know a geologist might say, do your homework on the project. Absolutely, I'm not a geologist. I'm somebody who's learned a lot about geology and written a lot about geology. Do your homework on the people, the promoters, their past deals. Everyone calls them deals, right? This is not an easy profession because there are so many people rushing to get, especially at a time like this when mining is becoming popular again. It's great to see how popular it's become here at Mexico Discoveries and all of these different silver and gold projects and copper projects coming up on the line. But I would say, after you get to know the people, try to understand the project. Try to see who's validating the project. Try to see who the major shareholders is. Most importantly, get in early. I mean, we specialize in very early stage exploration companies. Once in a while I'll invest or write and research a producer, right, or a more advanced project, wherever it is, Mexico, Colombia, Ecuador. But going in early when these things are unnoticed, going into Aztec Minerals or Sonora Gold or Riverside Resources or some of these other terrific companies, when they're still like 3 or 5 cents a share, 6 cents, that's terrific. Beware of dilution, right, as in countless financings. One of my favorite companies, and thank you Jimmy in Ontario. One of my favorite companies is in Ghana in West Africa, Extra Gold Resources. And they haven't financed like forever because they sell the alluvial gold that they subcontract out. And they have like almost $10 million US on their balance sheet. And that's been it's great because, when you're an investor, especially a retail investor, let's say you're not doing private placements. In the United States, it's challenging to do private placements with candidates companies that are listed in Canada, for example, which many of these companies are, even though they may operate in West Africa or Mexico, Colombia, or Ecuador. Well, you're going to get diluted down, and unless it's an accretive, what they call an accretive financing, where they're financing at a far higher price, it's going to hurt you on the stock price. And it's almost like clockwork. You can almost short the stock ahead of a financing. So get them when they're young and early if you can, not always easy. And beware of bad luck, fraud, incompetence. Even though I have to put in a little asterisk there, Kevin, people tell me fraud can be some of the best investments in the short term that you can have. And I'm sure that's true in every industry, not just mining or biopharma, which I also follow. So there you go.
And you've written a book, Pablo by Numbers.
Well, yeah.
Tell us a bit about the book.
Well, it's a novel, Pablo by Numbers, about my it's a little autobiographical, as they say, as most novels are, and it's about a freewheeling, very popular and very successful mining tycoon, and it's about celebrities. It's about flying in a Gulf Stream. It's about many countries. It's about Dubai, Africa, the United States, Canada, and it's very entertaining. And by the way, Kevin, that you would ask, my sister and I just finished the first of 3 books. It's more of a young adult novel called Gravesend Gothic, because I grew up in Gravesend, Brooklyn, the first place in Brooklyn, New York, that was settled by the Dutch in the 1600s. And obviously we're looking for publishers now. That's the part that's not so much fun, but I love the writing process, and my sister Stevie and I, Graves and Gothic. You can go to Thom Calandra, THOMCALANDRA.com, and find out some of this stuff. Kevin, you're so generous to be asking these questions.
So you do a subscriber service as well.
Yes.
So tell us about that service, and obviously you're telling us, okay, I'll send you a report by email once or twice a week on your website. And I'm wondering, well, what would I get when you send me out that information? What topics or content am I going to see in those reports?
Well, Kevin, I sent you a couple reports this morning, but what you'll see for our audience is sometimes 3 times a week. Like this morning, I just sent out a report about this conference, but also about a biopharmaceutical company that is our largest position at home, and that I've been researching for 6 years, called IMV, Cancer Research. You get firsthand reporting. It's not insider reporting, but it's firsthand reporting about companies, and you're not going to be able to read this in the press releases. You know, it's not like a roundup of press releases. You know, it's not a roundup of what's happened. It's a roundup of what could happen, what I may. There's an 80% chance that I'm an investor in it. I tried my hardest not to promote and to stick to the facts or the likely facts going forward, and it's been quite successful. You know, I started it at MarketWatch during our MarketWatch days in the early 2000s, and it was extremely popular. It moved that moved stocks and other investments like crazy. But I did get into a little trouble there at the end before we sold the company to Dow Jones, the Wall Street Journal. But that resolved pleasantly and quickly, and I learned my lesson. And here it is. Now, I resurrected it in 2011, the Calandra Report.
Yep.
You know, we charge like $179 a year, and I let people keep their original price. So there are some people going back to 2011 that still pay $29 a year.
Lucky people.
Yeah, so there you go.
Okay, so now as always the question, give me a top pick today, Tom. What is it?
My top pick, besides my wife and the 2 kids who are now grown up and or getting grown up, I should say. Well, look, first of all, in mining, once again, to stick to my mantra, go in early.
Yep.
I love this company, Aztec Minerals, which has 2 projects, one at Tombstone. I went to school at the University of Arizona. Tombstone, now I studied journalism and got a couple master's degrees in that, but Tombstone is right outside Arizona, and it's a big, it used to be a famous mine, Tombstone. Also a famous newspaper there in the day, Tombstone Epitaph. But Joey Wilkins and Aztec Minerals have gotten, put together quite a property there, and also in Mexico. And the Mexican property is in Sonora, and that's called the Cervantes. And that, I think you're going to see some headlines about Cervantes. That's one. Of course, once again, IMV, that's our largest holding. It's a biopharma company. In NASDAQ, we own about almost $750,000 worth of that one, but we've had it, it's cancer biopharma, we've had it for 6 years now. So I tend to hold on forever.
So you're a nice patient investor.
Yeah, well, I can tell you, 2011 to 2018, 2019, tough.
Yeah,
I heard it from everyone, including
don't we all know?
Everyone at home.
Yes.
I also love Extra Gold in Ghana,
yep.
And I own about 30 companies, shares of 30 companies.
Well, I want to thank you, Tom, today. It's been great hearing about your background, amazing background. And thank you for attending with us today. And look at MexicoMiningCenter.com. It's a fascinating website and has lots of interviews like this and great people like Tom you'll meet on this website. Thank you very much, Tom.
Thank you.
Okay.